In 1609, a group of pilgrims left England for the religious freedom in Holland, where they lived and prospered. After a few years, their children were speaking Dutch and had become attached to the Dutch way of life. This worried the pilgrims. They considered the Dutch frivolous and their ideas a threat to their children's education and morality. So they decided to leave Holland and travel to the New World. Their trip was financed by a group of English investors, the merchant adventurers. It was agreed that the pilgrims would be given passage and supplies in their exchange for their working for their backers for 7 years. On September 6, 1620, the pilgrims set sail for the New World on a ship called the Mayflower. They sailed from Plymouth, England, and aboard were 44 pilgrims who called themselves the Saints and 66 others, whom the pilgrims called the Strangers. The long trip was cold and damp and took 65 days. Since there was the danger of fire on the wooden ship, the food had to be eaten cold. Many passengers became sick and one person died by the time land was sighted on November 10th. The long trip led to many disagreements between the Saints and the Strangers. After land was sighted, a meeting was held and an agreement was worked out, called the Mayflower Compact, which guaranteed equality and unified the two groups. They joined together and named themselves the Pilgrims. Although they had first sighted land off of Cape Cod, they did not settle until they arrived at Plymouth, which had been named by Captain John Smith in 1614. It was there that the Pilgrims decided to settle. Plymouth offered an excellent harbor. A large brook offered a resource for fish. The Pilgrims' biggest concern was attack by the local Native American Indians, but they were a peaceful group who did not prove to be a threat. The first winter was devastating to the Pilgrims. The cold snow and sleet was exceptionally heavy, interfering with the workers as they tried to construct their settlement. March brought warmer weather, and the health of the Pilgrims improved, but many had died during the long winter. Of the 110 pilgrims and crew who left England, less than 50 survived the first winter. On March 16, 1621, what was to become an important event took place. An Indian brave walked into the Plymouth settlement. The pilgrims were frightened until the Indian called out, "Welcome," in English. His name was Samoset, and he was an Abenaki Indian. He had learned English from the captains of fishing boats that had sailed off the coast. After staying the night, Samoset left the next day. He soon returned with another Indian named Squanto, who spoke better English than Samoset. It was Squanto who taught the pilgrims how to tap the maple trees for sap. He taught them which plants were poisonous and which had medical powers. He taught them how to plant the Indian corn by heaping the earth into low mounds with several seeds and fish in each mound. The decaying fish fertilized the corn. Then he also taught them to plant other crops with the corn. The harvest in October was very successful, and the pilgrims found themselves with enough food to put away for the winter. The pilgrims had much to celebrate. They had built homes in the wilderness and had raised enough crops to keep them alive during the long coming winter. The Pilgrim governor, William Bradford, proclaimed a day of thanksgiving. They invited Squanto and other Indians to join them in their celebration. In 1863, President Abraham Lincoln appointed a National Day of Thanksgiving. Since then, each president has issued a Thanksgiving Day proclamation, usually designating the fourth Thursday of each November as the holiday.